To get started with IBM Instana, we would need to understand how the IBM Instana architecture works. So basically, the IBM Instana architecture has three main components: the sensors, which are technology specific, and these are responsible for sending the different metrics, events, logs, and traces to the single agent, which then forwards it to the backend. Now, the reason why we're making use of the single agent and forwarding the data to the backend for processing is because we want to reduce latency and also capture 100% of the transactions while making use of the 1 second data granularity. Now, this is a high-level overview of the Instana architecture. If you'd like to learn more about this architecture, I'll leave a link to the documentation on the video description. Install the agents. So I'd like to introduce you to the IBM Instana UI. On the IBM Instana UI, we have different sections. We have the websites and mobile app monitoring. We have the business monitoring. We have the applications. But for this specific series, we would be focusing on deploying the IBM Instana agent. And to do that, you would go to the home page here. Here you'd have the option to deploy the agent. Once you click on deploy agents, there are many agent deployment options that you get. Depending on your specific scenario, you select the one that best suits your case. For my case, I'll be using the Windows installer option, which because I'm using a Windows host. So to do that, I click on the Windows installer, which gives me the different steps to be able to get started with the agent deployment. Now here, there's different options that you can choose from. The first option that we have is the packaging type for the agent. So the packaging type can either be dynamic or static. For a dynamic agent, it simply means that we'll be able to update the agent dynamically, and whenever there is an update, we'll be able to ship that to you dynamically without you having to perform any manual steps. But for the static, it means your agent would be pinned to a particular version of the IBM Instana agent, and for you to update your agent, you'd have to do so manually. Once the Instana agent is completed, we'll have the agent installed to the path that we've defined. So here we have the Instana agent installed in our program files, Instana agents. So for our particular use case today, I'd like to make a change to the configuration file. So basically, this is the file that you can use to define your custom configurations, and you could also decide to add another configuration file here so the Instana agent could pick up and make changes to your application. But for this use case, I'm just going to be changing the zone for application just to be able to group the different infrastructures in our hosts in a particular zone. So for that, I've made a change to the availability zone here. It doesn't have to be this name. You could use any name you want. So the idea for me using this name is to be able to easily locate our hosts and differentiate it from the other hosts running on our cluster. To get to the Instana UI page, just click on infrastructure. You'd have this page. Here you have the different infrastructures running. Once I search for this, the name that we gave our zone, we would be able to see the hosts come up for us. So here, once you click on the host, we would see the different technologies being discovered. Here we have our Instana agents. Here we have the different .NET applications running on our server. Also here we see the IIS server. If we open any of the dashboards, we'll see details of what we have on our system. So for this use case, this is the site we'll be working on, the eShop website. So these are the different pools that we have, and these are the different websites that we have. And on the host level itself, like I mentioned, the different sensors would start reporting the metrics, the logs, the traces through the Instana agent to the backend that we configured. So here you can see the different traces and metrics coming in for our hosts. Working with the eShop application. So this is the famous same application used by Microsoft for most of their presentations. I've decided to use the same today, but with little changes to the database. I've configured a Postgres database for this demo application, just for us to be able to see the end-to-end life cycle of this application and how it's being presented on the Instana UI. Before we start reporting to the Instana UI, for the .NET traces would start reporting to the Instana UI, we would need to make just one change. So for an IIS hosted application, all you need to do for the traces to start coming into the UI is to perform an IIS reset. That's it. The application traces and metrics will start coming in. So once we are done with the IIS reset, all we need to do is to wait for, just give it like a minute or two for the new files to start coming in after the IIS reset, and we should see our application coming in here. So here we have the application DLL that we're going to be working with. So this is the web shop, and also not just through displays, you could also see the different metrics coming in for the application on the IIS dashboard. So here I'm going to check out with this, with these items. Oh, we had an error. Okay, cool. I know we're expecting everything to work as expected, but the error is intentional just for us to see how Instana will be able to help us resolve this issue. Now, this is what you might have in typically in production, where a customer is trying to check out the web page, or maybe a customer is trying to perform an action and they're receiving an error. Now we can see the error codes coming in. So Instana has been able to show us that, oh, we are having some error codes and also the different requests coming through. In this dashboard, you could see the infrastructure change issues and changes. You could see the endpoints that you're calling, and how you could also filter by calls that are erroneous. You could also see different calls as well. So for this particular case, we would like to figure out what exactly is going on with our application. So if I drill down to this endpoint, here we can see the particular erroneous calls. So we just need to visualize this. Here, this is the traces coming in for our application, and we know that now Instana is telling us that this error is coming through on the checkout part. So here you could see our service is being recorded here, the timestamp of the errors, the parts where the error is happening. So we can also drill further to the different span to see how this call went down through the different services and which of the services is having this issue. So here we could see that the error, we could drill down into the different spans, and we could see that the error, it's happening on the database call. So also Instana offers us the logs, basically to tell us what the issue is. You could see the detailed error logs for the application, and also you can easily go to the different services to see what's happening. So in this case, this is our database DB. We can easily click from here to get to the database calls to also see what is happening. So here, this is database, and this is also the erroneous calls being reported. So that's how Instana could help you, find the issues and also drill down to the particular problem